one of those who watched the talk which I gave last Sunday requested me to speak on Holy Mother more. That's why I am giving this talk. I could have talked about her or on her for days and days. I have heard so many things about her, having been in the monastic order. All right. The monks of the Ramakrishna Order not only looked upon her as the mother, but they obeyed her. Obedience to the mother is one of the teachings of Hinduism. Look upon your mother as God. Matri Deva Bhava. And Sri Sarada Devi was God in human form. She was a divine incarnation. So she is the Holy Mother. And Swami Vivekananda, whose name you must all have heard, he is very famous. There are so many streets in India named after Swami Vivekananda. Even in Brazil, which I had to visit on invitation 7 times, there is a city called Curitiba, and there is a street named after him. Anyway, Swami Vivekananda had a vision while he was in India. Then he was in his 30s at that time, Swami Vivekananda. And he had a vision. In that vision he saw Sri Ramakrishna beckoning him to come to the west. And he was standing on the ocean. At that time, something wonderful was going to happen in America. For the first time, the representatives of different religions were invited to a parliament. It's called Parliament of Religions. And Swami Vivekananda had not been invited because he was not known as a leader at that time. But others, some others who were more known in India were selected as representatives of Hinduism, and they were invited. But Sri Ramakrishna appeared in that vision and was beckoning Swami Vivekananda to go to the west. And some admirers of Swami Vivekananda had requested him to go to that parliament, but he had not made up his mind. And then Sri Ramakrishna beckoned him to go there. After that vision, still Swami Vivekananda had a little doubt. He thought, am I fit to go there? So he sought the permission of the Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, and she gladly permitted him, saying, yes, my child, go. And that's Swami Vivekananda obeyed her implicitly and went to America. And then you know that he turned out to be the best orator in the parliament. About him, one American newspaper wrote, he is an orator by divine right. Anyway, so those exalted monks of our order like Vivekananda, they had the greatest regard for Sri Sarada Devi. She was their mother, not only mother, the Holy Mother. And there was one very famous devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. His name is Girish Chandra Ghosh. He was a great playwright and he was a great dramatist. And in 19th century Bengal, everybody knew him, almost everybody. And Girish Chandra Ghosh became a great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. But he had not seen the Holy Mother. He had heard of her but had not seen her. After the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, some other monk took the Holy Mother to Girish Ghosh's house. But in India, in those days, any visiting woman would go to the inner quarter, so to say. That means that there only the ladies could go and would have nothing to do with the men of that house. So she went to Girish Ghosh's house. And Girish Ghosh had a little son. He had once requested Sri Ramakrishna to be born as his son. But Sri Ramakrishna, of course, did not say anything. But nevertheless, after the passing of Sri Ramakrishna, his son was born. And Girish Ghosh thought that it must have been Sri Ramakrishna who had come to his family as their child. That boy, that baby, perhaps was about 1.5 years old or 2 years old when the Holy Mother visited his home. And that baby came to the Holy Mother and sat on her lap. And the mother, with her affection, treated that baby. So the baby somehow recognized the mother. And then another time, another monastic disciple of Sri Ramakrishna took the Holy Mother to Girish Ghosh's house. No, at that time, the Holy Mother was in Sorindra Tagore's home. She was staying there. Then Girish Ghosh came there with that little son of his. And then the little boy went to the inner quarters and saw the Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, sat on her lap and was very happy. Then the baby came back to Girish Ghosh and started dragging him to go to the inner court of the house. We call it Andar Mahal in our language. And then the Girish Ghosh had to go with the child, and the child took Girish Ghosh to the Holy Mother. Girish Ghosh used to think that he was very humble, and aside from that, he thought that he had done many immoral things in his life before coming to Sri Ramakrishna. So he was very humble. So he went to that child, to the Holy Mother, and just saluted him, not folding the hands, touching his head, forehead to the ground. He didn't dare look at her, and her face was veiled also. He saw her feet only. That was Girish Ghosh's first meeting with the Holy Mother. Then another time Girish Ghosh came to see her, and also the child was there. That child took him to the Holy Mother, and Girish Ghosh saluted the mother. And at that time, the mother removed her veil, and seeing her face, Girish Ghosh was astounded. He said, "So it is you. It is you, mother." He said there was an incident when Girish Ghosh was a young man. He was dying of cholera, great cholera. And at that time it looked like he would not live. Then he had a vision. He saw a female deity with a radiant face coming to him, and that deity said to him, "Take this food, it has been a little piece of food, it has been offered to God. We call it prasad, and put that in his mouth." And Girish Ghosh put that in his mouth, and he woke up. And he felt like he had still been tasting that food. After that, Girish Ghosh became all right. And when he saw the face of Holy Mother, he could recognize that it was that deity whom he had seen in his dream when he was a young man, a deity who saved his life. So that's why he said, "So mother, it is you." And so Girish Ghosh would look upon her as the Divine Mother. Once Girish Ghosh, at the request of some others, asked her, they want to know what kind of mother you are of me. Then she said, "I am not your Guru's wife, mother. I am not an adopted mother either. I am not a foster mother. I am your true mother." That's what she said to Girish Chandra Ghosh. "I am your true mother." So this is the incident associated with Girish Chandra Ghosh. So Girish Chandra Ghosh recognized her to be the Divine Mother in human form. Once one lady from an aristocratic family came to see Sri Sarada Devi, the Divine Mother, when she was in Calcutta. And that lady thought that she had committed many sins, some immoral acts she had performed. So she was extremely ashamed of her conduct. She was even not sure that the Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, would allow her to see her. But no, in spite of her reluctance, when she went to see her, then the Holy Mother embraced her. I said, "My child, don't regret what you have done. I will give you spiritual initiation." And that's how the Holy Mother gave her spiritual initiation. Because she was the mother. She once said, "I am the mother of the good, and I am the mother of those who are not good." Once in a railway station, what is called railroad station in India, that is called railway station. At a railroad station, there was a porter, and Sri Sarada Devi had to go there for some reason. And that porter suddenly developed great respect for the mother and came to her and started saluting her. And then the Holy Mother gave him spiritual initiation there at the railroad platform. So she was the mother of all. I have seen some of her disciples, and one of her disciples was my Guru, Swami Vishuddhananda. The Holy Mother did not have any vanity. No divine incarnation has any vanity. Jesus was a divine incarnation. After his resurrection, he said to Mary Magdalene, about whom we call his disciples, he said, go to that house and tell my brothers that I will see them in Galilee. He would look upon them as brothers, not disciples. Sri Ramakrishna also never thought that he was the spiritual teacher or guru. He used to always say, God is the guru. He was just the instrument. This is the tradition in our order also. Those who give initiation, they don't think that they are gurus. It is Sri Ramakrishna, God incarnate. He is the guru. So I saw some of her disciples, and one of them was my Guru, Swami Vishuddhanandaji. And not only that, Vishuddhanandaji and two other young men went to her to have initiation, and she gave them initiation, and also gave them ochre cloth to wear. It is like giving sannyas. And they said, go. Then she said, go to Benaras. Their Tarak is there, Swami Shivananda. He will give you their sannyas name. Then they walked from that place, Bengal, to Benaras and had the names. And my Guru got the name Vishuddhananda. His name was Jitendra before sannyas. She was also very humble and motherly. He was also very humble and motherly, like the mother. At that time, in our order, only our president would give spiritual initiation. And president was Swami Shankarananda. But he had become quite old, and he requested Swami Vishuddhananda to start giving spiritual initiation. Vishuddhanandaji said, who am I to give spiritual initiation to anybody? I am not fit. Then Swami Shankaranandaji said, well, neither you nor I am fit to give initiation. But you know, Sri Ramakrishna used to conduct his business with counterfeit coins. He used the word kanakori. That was the lowest currency in India at one time, a seashell. But had the seashell had a hole in it, then it would be useless. That would be called kanakori. So he said he used to conduct his business with his kanakori. So we are not fit, but we have to do it. And then Swami Vishuddhananda agreed. So they are all humble, very humble. I saw another disciple, Swami Bireshwaranandaji. he was also very humble and motherly. I was with him in the headquarters of our order before coming to America for 12 years, and I saw him. He had motherly love for me. At that, when I had been asked to come to America, I had to take a flight very early in the morning. And Veer Saranandaji was in his 80s, I think, at that time, and had developed some problem with his eyes. Still, in the darkness of the early morning, he came. Some attendant was showing him the way with some flashlight, and he came to me to see me off. He was the president of our order, and I was just a young monk. Such motherly affection I can never forget. There are many such incidents showing her love. But as I have been telling you, she was a divine incarnation, like Sri Ramakrishna. And it is one interesting thing to mention here is that when Sri Sarada Devi was in her village in Jairambati, and she was quite young, of course, because she was married when she was only 6 years old, and Sri Ramakrishna was 24 years old. And Sri Ramakrishna. Then see, women in that village, they have that belief that a woman who does not have a child is not fit to attend some of the religious celebrations. They have that belief. And so a thought came to the Holy Mother's mind. She heard all those things. So when she came to Dakshineshwar to live with Sri Ramakrishna, at that time, that thought came to her mind. She said, well, that's what they used to say. And she did not say that to Sri Ramakrishna. But Sri Ramakrishna could read every person's thoughts. He said, don't worry, a day will come when you will have such children. They will be like jewels. They will be like jewels. One even through prayers and spiritual austerity does not get such a child. You will have many such children. And another time, after her marriage, when she had become grown-up woman, then Sri Sarada Devi's mother, Shyama Sundari, was lamenting, saying, look at me, we have married our daughter to a person who seems to be crazy. And my daughter is not having any children. She is so unfortunate. She will never hear a child calling her mother. And Sri Ramakrishna, of course, knew all these things. So once when he met Shyama Sundari Devi, he said, Mother, time will come when your daughter will have so many children, they will be calling her mother. That is, her ears will burn. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said to her. That has been proved to be true. Now Sri Sarada Devi has many thousand children, calling her mother. And I have been telling you that she was a divine incarnation. Well, and it has been mentioned in our scriptures that God has many powers. One power is to do what we call performing miracles or whatever. So the divine incarnations also have that power. They don't use this power usually, but sometimes on rare occasions they do. Before coming to this country, I was at the headquarters of our monastic order, which is in Belur Math, near Calcutta, and I worked there. Then one day, I was in the headquarters office sitting at my table. One gentleman came to see me. He had heard from somebody that I hailed from that city called Shillong. Shillong was the capital of the province of Assam during British period. And he had heard that I was from Shillong. And that's why he came to see me. Then he greeted me and saluted me and said that he was the son of Panchanan Brahmachari who lived in Shillong. And he said, I have to tell you about my father who was saintly, tell you something. Then he started telling me that Panchanan Brahmachari, his last name is Brahmachari, but he was not a monk or anything. Yes, some householders also have that last name. Then anyway, Panchanan Brahmachari was in Shillong. He was a teacher in a school. And Shillong was the capital of, as I told you, of Assam during British India. And there is a beautiful city up on the mountain. And in the mountain range which is called, he used to be called the Khasi and Jaintia hills. And the British used to call those hills the Scotland of the East. And they were very fond of the city of Shillong. So that's why most probably they made Shillong the capital of the province of Assam. But then around in the year 1912, at that time the Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi was there in Bengal. She passed away only in the year 1920. So 8 years before her passing away, she was there in Calcutta or Bengal. Might have been in Jairambati, I am not sure. At that time, the British, for some reason, shifted the capital of Assam from India to the city called Dhaka. It looks like at that time Dhaka was part of Assam. And then as a result, you see, Shillong became like a deserted town. Most of the homes were empty, and Panchanan Brahmachari somehow had to stay there, and because he had been requested by one very prosperous and famous gentleman. His last name was Bosu, and he had been given that title Rai Bahadur by the British government. So Mr. Basu requested Panchanath Brahmachari to stay in his home, large home. He had a palatial building, so to say. So he stayed there. And then one day he saw that in that neighborhood one house was on fire. That house belonged to the Queen of Business State in India. And that queen had two houses, one smaller and the other one large palatial building. Seeing that, my Panchanath Brahmachari thought that he should try to go and extinguish that fire if possible. So with the three servants, they were Nepalese, he went there. But water was scarce at that time. As the city was no longer the capital of Assam, only at certain hours of the day water would be supplied. But anyway, somehow they got some water. And when they were seeing that house being burnt, then they noticed that fire from that house was leaping to the roof of the larger house of the Queen of Business. And in those days, following the British pattern of building, some very beautiful houses, they had steel roofs, but on top of that they would put hay also, thick layer of hay. So that some hay was catching fire. Then Panchanath Brahmachari somehow was able to go there to extinguish that fire, and he asked those Nepalese laborers to supply him with a bucket of water. But before that bucket of water came to him, he was surrounded by fire, flames, and he thought that he was going to die. So he thought that he would say his last prayers to his guru, Sri Sarada Devi. So Panchanath Brahmachari's guru was the Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi. And then a strange sight he saw. He saw that the Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, was coming through the sky, some radiance coming out of her body, and she came to him, said, "My child, don't be scared." Then she withdrew the burning power of the flames which had surrounded Panchanath Brahmachari, and the fire was extinguished. And after this experience, he became unconscious. After some time, after 2 or 3 hours, those Nepalese workers, they came to him to see what had happened to him. And they saw that only his face had been burnt, but otherwise he was all right. Then Panchanath Brahmachari face was so burnt and it had become dark, his friends could not recognize him. Then one day at night he saw the Holy Mother. She came to him and said, "My child, don't be upset. On the last day of the Bengali year," and in India there is the Bengali year, the Bengalis observe some calendar, and according to that calendar, said on the last day of that Bengali year, you go to the nearby mountain spring and take a shower, and you will be all right. His face had been burnt and it was black. He could not be recognized by others. Then he thought what to do. Then he had 1 or 2 friends. He told them about this vision, and then one of them was a member of the Brahma Samaj church. They did not believe in deities or anything, or divine incarnations. They did not trust Panchana Brahmacharya. He did not trust either, and he thought that Panchana Brahmacharya had been imagining things. But nevertheless, on the last day of the Bengali year, he felt obliged to, and the Sri Sarada Devi had told him that your face will be all right if you go and take a bath in that spring. So he went there. Some others who had heard that story, they also with their utter disbelief went with him. And strangely, when he took a shower in that mountain spring, his face became normal. Oh, his face became normal face. So this is a miracle which Sri Sarada Devi performed while she was still alive. After her passing away, she has appeared to so many others. I met one gentleman when I was visiting Brazil, and that gentleman's name was Antoine Pierre Calat. He was from Egypt, Cairo. He said that when he was 13 years old, it was passing after, this is after passing away of the Holy Mother. He had the vision of the Holy Mother. When he was 13 years old, and this gentleman was 2 years older than me. So that was in the year 1942 he had this incident happened, and he had typhoid, and he was at that time 13 years old, and it looked like in those days they did not have chloromycetin or anything, only aspirin they gave him, but his condition became worse, and on the 40th day of his illness, they thought that his relatives and parents had thought that he would not live. So they were there in that room, and then he was bedridden and he could not get up from bed or anything. And then suddenly he saw, and they were Roman Catholics. They had the picture of Virgin Mary and baby Jesus in their home. But anyway, at that time, he was unable to get up from his bed also on the 40th day of his fever. And the relatives and parents thought that he would die that day. And then suddenly he saw a lady, her head partially covered by some vein, and she looked like a Bedouin lady with tanned complexion. She was standing next to his bed, and he thought that she must be someone who had come to help her. And then he tried to sit up, and somehow he gained some strength to sit up, and when he sat up, the lady disappeared, and some blood came out of his mouth. After that, he became all right. He started becoming better and he became all right. But he remembered the face of that lady. He thought that that lady had saved his life. Then after a while, in Cairo, he was at that time a young man. He was conducting some business. He was the agent of a oriental drug company. And then, but the situation in Cairo became bad for the Christians. So, he decided to go to Brazil. So, he went to Brazil in 1970s, and there he started working as a salesman for a foundry company. He was married, he had his wife at that time. Then one day a friend took him to the home of a gentleman whose name was Mr. Gomez, Professor Gomez. He was a well-known pianist, and made him sit in the living room, and the gentleman went inside. Mr. Gomez was a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. He didn't know this Mr. Antoine Calat did not know anything about him. And while he was sitting in the living room, there were some pictures there, and he saw the picture of the Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi. By seeing that picture, he was astounded, because it is this lady who had saved his life when he was about to die in Cairo. And so when that friend came out from the inner quarters, then he asked him, "Who is this? Whose picture is this?" Then that gentleman said that she was Sarada Devi, the consort of Sri Ramakrishna. She is looked upon as a divine incarnation and all this. So then he recognized that it is she who saved his life. After 1 or 2 years, he became a disciple of Swami Bhaskarananda of the Ramakrishna Order. And Swami Bhaskarananda used to be in Argentina, but he would visit Brazil every year. So he became a disciple of Swami Bhaskarananda. So I requested Mr. Calat. To write this incident, and he wrote an article that was published in our 4-monthly journal, Global Vedanta, which is published from Seattle. That is, even after passing away, Sri Sarada Devi is showering her blessings on the devotees. She is still there. She is no longer tied to the human body. She has full power of God now. Omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence. Let us pray to her. I have been praying to her and to Sri Ramakrishna, so that this dark cloud which has come to the world now due to a certain virus, that disappears soon and nobody is harmed. May both of them, Sri Ramakrishna and the Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, save us. That is my prayer. Thank you so much.